Hello, I'm Jennifer Gilson, and I'm teaching Algebra 2 this year. I'm also teaching AP Computer Science Principles and serving as our Acalanes High School Teacher on Special Assignment Math Specialist. So a little bit of background about me. I have my undergrad from UC Davis in mathematics. It's absolutely been one of my passions my entire life. And then I finished my master's degree in education with an emphasis on technology. And that's really been so great for me as we've gone into distance learning, integrating all the things that I learned about finding ways to enhance what we do in the classroom. Of course, now our whole classroom is digital, but enhancing that with the technology that we have. This is my 20th year teaching, my 4th year at Acalanes, and my 6th year in the district. When not at work, I'm busy with my 3 kids. Cohen is in 5th grade, and Avery is in 3rd grade, and Ty is at Acalanes. He is a sophomore. Also love to read and work on photography and do baking. So a couple of glimpses into our family life. We love to vacation at the beach. We have little pets at home and a picture of one of my projects that I worked on a couple of years ago. So for Algebra 2 this year, these are the standards that we're covering. And the book that we're using is the Big Ideas Math textbook. There's a link to the textbook on the students' Canvas homepage. There's absolutely going to be access to the textbook in a virtual edition of it, but if they want to have a hard copy of the book, they can have that too. They can pick that up from the site. The only unit that we're not covering this year is Unit 8, and it's just not a standard for advanced algebra. But they would have seen it a little bit in Algebra 1, and if they continue on, they will see part of those standards next year. More importantly than the content that we cover this year in Algebra 2 are the 8 mathematical practices. The way of thinking of these practices is find someone who's really, really good at math and study their habits. What is this person doing that allows them to have so much success with mathematics? And what we find is that when we teach the standards, these practices to students, they enhance in all content areas. So we really want students to be able to make sense of problems. What are they asking for? What information do you have? What's not relevant? And then persevere in solving those problems. What tools are available to you, and how do you use those tools strategically to help you solve the problem? How can we reason through the problem? How can we critique or evaluate the reasoning of others? Can we see any patterns in the problem? Is there any structure that we can use? And these are all things that I want to emphasize this year with my students so that they can be better mathematicians. So this year we have Canvas. We're all new to Canvas this year, but it's a wonderful learning management system. Each day, students should be logging into Canvas and looking at the home page. The home page is where they're going to get information about what's coming up for the week. It also has embedded Zoom links, links to assignments, links to notes, and an easy way for them to navigate Canvas. Also on the home page is my Google slide that has all the necessary hyperlinks they need to get to things. So this is going to be the link to our Zoom page. The help button is the link to Teach More, where they're going to sign up for our Wednesday and Friday academies. And then there's a link to the textbook, a link to an online graphing website, Desmos, link to some important or useful videos in Khan Academy, and then a link to our testing website, Illuminate. There's also a link to our homepage, Acalanes homepage, and then some other fun hyperlinks that take them to videos that will change throughout the semester for students to watch. One of the things I shared with my students on the very first day is having a growth mindset, understanding that their brain is incredibly elastic, that it can change, that it can develop, and that there's no such thing as not being a math person or saying, I can't learn math. We also want to encourage our students to be willing to struggle and engage with math a little bit. Research has found that when we are struggling, that is when the learning is taking place. If you're watching your student breathe through a math assignment and they're not struggling at all, it's either because they already know it or they're not learning anything. And so we want to resist the urge to run in and rescue them. According to Joe Bowler, who released an article last year called Why Struggle is Essential for the Brain and Our Lives. She says, when students look at me and say, this is hard, I say, that is fantastic. So encouraging students to understand the link or relationship between struggle when things are difficult and growth. And the analogy I sometimes share with my students is for weightlifters, and the actual way that you grow muscle in your body is by tearing the muscle you already have and making space for new muscle to grow in that tear. And there's nothing easy about tearing your muscles, and there's nothing easy about growth and growing and learning. Sometimes it's a challenge. So encourage them to embrace the struggle. When they're frustrated and struggling, maybe set a timer for 10 minutes and say, why don't you work on it for 10 minutes? And if you're still frustrated at the end of 10 minutes and you haven't figured it out, then I'll step in and see if I can help you. And that's the mindset that we want to give our students, especially in distance learning, where they're trying to figure out what is this content and they're not in a classroom with their teacher. What I have asked students to do is read through the detailed notes in Canvas first. This allows students to preview, work on the notes a little bit on their own, engage in that struggle a little bit, and then come to the Zoom class prepared to ask good questions. I will be reviewing all of the notes with the students in the Zoom class, but I'd like to make the most of our time, which means if students already know something and they don't need me to cover it, I'd rather be spending time talking about the things that they do need help on. So students should be going through the notes every night. The notes are interactive. They should be able to read the notes. Each thing in blue that is underlined is a hyperlink to a video or a website where they can get more information or more help. If they really don't understand how to do something, they can highlight it in yellow and bring it up at the next Zoom meeting where I'll cover it in detail. The grades for this class are designed to reflect my belief that all kids can learn, but I know all kids don't learn at the same rate, and therefore there are multiple opportunities for students to demonstrate their learning and their proficiency. Formative work is provided for students to grow and learn. That will include homework, classwork assignments, quizzes, and exit tickets. Those quizzes are going to be available for students to take multiple times until they can demonstrate proficiency. Summative work will be our unit tests and our exams. No student will ever be asked to take a test or an exam without first being given opportunities to practice that material and check in to see what they know and don't know, and then have an opportunity to have some intervention time with me. But students are expected by the time they take their summative exams to have worked on that material, practiced it, and be prepared to demonstrate proficiency. I do accept light work. I know that there are things that are going to come up. I know we're going to have technology issues. I know students are stressed and there are other things going on at home. But students need to remember that when the work comes in late, that may be difficult for me to return it in the same amount of time I would as online work, or be able to engage in that work with them in the same manner. I also take off 10% for late work, which means you can get an A, you can get 9 out of 10, but you can no longer get 100%, 10 out of 10. And I hope that motivates my students to try to keep up as best they can. If something does come up and students need an extension, they should message me directly. The best way for students to get a hold of me is to message me through Canvas. It's a wonderful system for messaging back and forth, and they should hear back from me. If not within a couple of hours, within 24 hours for sure. They can also email me at my AUHSD email. And parents, you're welcome to do the same. And again, you should hear back from me within 24 to 48 hours. Our academy time is still happening. We're still going to be meeting for academy on Wednesdays and Fridays from 9 to 9:45. Students need to make an appointment, and they will do that by clicking on the help button on the home screen and going through Teach More. So it's really important that students make that appointment, because there won't be any drop in academies. Because once the student makes an appointment, they'll be given the Zoom link. I want to thank all of you for watching this video, for your ongoing support, for all that you do to support our students. I know this is an incredibly difficult and stressful time for some of us, and we're all figuring it out, and we're all going to figure it out and do great. And I'm excited to work with these kids this year. I'm thankful for all the support from the parents, the support from Alpi, and all the things that they do to support our kids and support our classroom and support our site. Thanks again.